All right, so we have a good number of people with us here, and we can start with the session as more and more people will keep on joining. So, good evening, everybody. I am Yashvi Sharma, and I am the events head at GDSC IGDTUW, and I'll be the host for today's session, which is Women Rising: Overcoming Obstacles in Achieving Success. So, India's recent achievements in various fields have put the country in the global spotlight. Providing that gender roles are merely societal constructs, GDSC IGDTUW is proud to announce that four successful female entrepreneurs will be sharing their stories and experiences, highlighting the fact that gender should never be a barrier to success. Nikita Malhotra, Nidhi Banthia, Sandesha, Jaitapkar, and Stuti Jalan, four accomplished women who have made their mark in their respective fields, will be speaking today. These inspiring women have challenged gender norms and shattered stereotypes, paving the way for future generations of women to follow in their footsteps. This is an incredible opportunity to learn from these trailblazing entrepreneurs who have shown that with determination and hard work, anything is possible. So let's not waste more time and get to knowing these exceptional women with us. So our first speaker today is going to be Ms. Nikita Malhotra. Founder of two successfully growing brands, Nikita takes immense pride in crafting products that are valued and adored by people, and has first-hand experience of the satisfaction that comes with creating products that people enjoy and appreciate. Nikita's appearance with the brand Winston Electronics on Shark Tank 2 Season 2, where she won the trust of two prominent sharks, Anupam Mittal and Vinita Singh, is one of her most significant accomplishments to date. To discover more about Nikita's journey and her insights into creating thriving brands, she'll be presenting a session on her entrepreneurial journey. The stage is all yours, Nikita. We would love for you to introduce yourself and give our audience a brief overview of the background and experiences that you've had up till now. Ma'am, you need to turn your mic on. It's off.
Hi, Ashvi, and hi, everyone. Thank you for the very warm welcome that you've given me. And absolutely, yes, I've kind of thrived my way into this journey of, women entrepreneurship. And thanks to anybody who's already watched Shark Tank, may already know the story that, I've lived through. And briefly, I'll just share it again. So I started this journey back in 2013 when online D2C was not so famous. Like, there were no platforms like Nykaa, Myntra, or any other platform as such, or maybe not so famous then. So I started my journey with Instagram, and I made sure that, I'm selling some products which are international brands, and we make sure that we are making them available in India and selling it via Instagram. That is how I started in 2013. And, by 2018, the platform kind of grew so much. I decided that we've built this community with over 1 lakh followers. Why not use this community to sell your own brand? And knowing what the customer want, what is the gap, and realizing what the opportunity is. That is how my own brand, Milagro Beauty, came into picture. And that's when I decided that, my dad was already doing something else, like he had his own business, and I told him that, join hands with me. So, which is not so common these days that, you ask your parents to join your business. It's usually the other way around that, you join whatever your family business is. But, I convinced him that D2C has, so much growth, and definitely we're going to go bigger with this. And so behind my women's success was my father, who's a man. So, the tables have turned around for women entrepreneurship, of course. And he joined me, and that's how Milagro expanded. And right after my marriage, I kind of repeated the same story again. I told my husband that, let's start our own business, and we are going to do a new brand, which is electronical beauty appliances, because he has electronic background, like 3-generation experience basically, and me having the beauty experience. So I told him that let's do something, leave your family business and join hands with me again. Let's start our own brand, which is Winston, and that is how Winston came into existence. So yeah, women entrepreneurship is something that you can call that I've been leading to, and not just me. I think today we can't say that, we need to uplift women and we need to give them equality or something. They are already out there. If you've seen Shark Tank, so many entrepreneurs who came in, most of them were driven by women. So there's no question of lifting them to a certain position. They're out there. So now, as I said that, behind every woman now there's a man standing who's supporting her, whether it's the dad, brother, husband, or somebody. So absolutely, yes, that is like a brief about the businesses that I've done. And I would also like, keep it open to everybody who wants to ask anything about the journey, or if you're stuck somewhere, if you want any help, of course, I'd love to do that.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really wonderful to hear from you and how you talked about how the tables have turned and how you've merged beauty into technology. It's really amazing. I think people here can ask any questions that they have. And so I'll start with the questions. So, my question for you is in what ways do you hope your brands will empower women and improve their confidence and self worth? I mean, you talked about how women are out there, but how do they initiate and how do they talk about the things that they have?
Can you please repeat your question? You mean how the brand is helping it, or how me as a woman is going to empower?
I want to know how your brand will empower women, but you also talked about the fact that women are out there and they have the skills and everything. So my second question that follows to this question is, how do they start their journey and how do they initiate?
So I think I'll answer the second one first.
Okay.
If you want me to tell you that, how should they initiate? So I think, talking from my experience, if I would have thought, at the age of, just right immediately after my college that, I'm going to build up a brand who's going to Shark Tank. That was not the aim. Okay, I had to start from somewhere, and I started it from such a small place like Instagram. I think 2013, as I mentioned, nobody knew what Instagram is. Nobody purchased, made a cosmetic purchase, a beauty purchase on Instagram. That was so difficult back then. Like, not having to see and touch and feel of the product was so important back then. Now I think the technology has made it so easy that you can virtually see how the product is looking on you, but all these things weren't available back then. So about initiating, the thing is, you need to initiate. The answer is in the word itself. Like, you need to start from somewhere. And similarly, when Winston started, so we started in the very next month of pandemic, Feb 2020, we got married, and March 2020 is when we, came up with the idea of Winston. So if in the window of pandemic, if we would have thought कि having an opportunity कि customer को कोई product चाहिए, and we know that we have the community to sell it, and we would have thought कि pandemic में कौन लेगा, we would not have reached anywhere. So the thing about taking your idea somewhere is that you need to start from somewhere, not thinking, not having high expectations, but at least manifesting that and believing whatever you are going ahead with. So that is the answer to your second question. And about first, since both the brands are beauty brands, so of course, women feel really empowered when they look good and they feel that confidence. I think there's no denial about the fact that how you look is going to, give you that confidence boost in yourself. So that's how the brand is empowering them.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think we have a question from the audience. Ashvi here has raised a hand. Ashvi, do you want to go?
Yeah, hi. So I saw you on Shark Tank, and my mom was very fascinated with all the products because some of them were really had like some cool technology, and some of them were really out of the box. So my question was that how do you ensure the purity and the organic nature of your skincare products?
So, hi Ashvi, how are you? So, are you talking about the brand Winston? Because these are, these are not really products which have ingredients. They are electronically driven products. So, I'm confused if you're talking about Milagro or Winston here.
Yeah, I'm sorry if there was a confusion. Yeah, I guess I was talking about the Milagro one. Yeah.
You're talking about?
The second one.
The brand Winston.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, Winston, about the authenticity of the product. So, I'll tell you how it happens. So, first, we make sure that, we are doing a lot of research in the kind of product we want to bring into the market. That is, of course, like, you can't skip the research part, of course. So, after doing the research, we make sure that once we reach to the vendors, we understand what kind of technology are they using. And then, of course, we compare with the other vendors, what they are providing us. And since the product that we import from China, we make sure that the finalized vendor is somebody that we are personally visiting them. Like, we do a factory visit, because what happens in China is they might say that they are the original vendor of the product, but they end up being the sub vendor. So, we don't want there's a mix of anything in the product that we are giving to the end customer, basically. And every hygiene that, for example, our facial trimmers, they have gold infused, like, the plates are gold. So we make sure for a lot of things that are happening, and we listen carefully to the customer also. If there's a very small thing also that the customer is saying, I think what the best part about startup is that they can listen very closely to their customers. The decision making is very easy for us. Like, it's not like it's a long chain that whatever the customer is saying, and, I'm unaware about what they are wanting to have and what the product is missing. So I think that is how we overcome the part of keeping a track of, what we are giving to the end customer.
Yeah, I'm really inspired by your sincerity and your passion for your products and the way you talk about them. And it's a delight to interact with you today. So I'm really thanks a lot for your answer. Thank you so much.
Yes, it's definitely a great opportunity for all of us present here. So, do we have more questions from the audience? Anyone here?
Yeah. Should I ask my question?
Yes, Saloni, go.
Okay. Hi, Nikita. It is so good listening to you and all the insightful tips that you have to give.
Hi, Saloni.
Hi. So my question was that what inspired you to start your journey as an entrepreneur and create your own brands?
Saloni, so firstly, very nice meeting to you. Also, so my journey, I think I mentioned on Shark Tank also. So in school, we did not know this term, what is entrepreneur. So I think when I was in 10th or 11th standard, the school head, she was giving a kind of a lecture wherein, we were made to watch this movie called, it's a documentary, Law of Attraction. If you guys have not watched it, I would highly encourage you to watch that. And, so what happened was we watched this. I came back home. She taught us about what is entrepreneurship. She said that should be your goal, being an entrepreneur. And I came home and, I was very happy and telling everybody that, I've learned something new and I want to be an entrepreneur, is when I did not even know what really an entrepreneur means. And, I wrote down a lot of things for my life which have now been accomplished. For example, the numbers, the figures that we've crossed, it's giving me goosebumps right now also, that how strange it is for me that, what kind of dream car I wanted when I was supposed to get married, when I did not even know what year am I supposed to get married in. So, all those things I noted down. So I think the journey that you are asking about inspiration, it started then, like, in my college. And I told my dad after school, in my school it started. And I told my dad right after school that, I don't want to go to any college. I just want to be an entrepreneur and you don't need to study so much for it. This is what I want to do. But he insisted, no, you're like so, passionate about studies also. So you should go ahead and, how parents say that first complete your college and then do your, the MBA part, like the series of the nature it is, like, parents just say that. So I completed my college and I was like, that's about it now. मैं और नहीं पढ़ूंगी. No matter how well I score, I want to be an entrepreneur और मैं अपनी MBA बाद में कर लूंगी. And this is the time when I'm thinking about actually doing MBA. So I skipped doing my MBA and I decided that मुझे business करना है and that's what I want to do. And I'm so glad that I followed my, inner call, if I would like to say that. And yeah, so the seed, I had it in my school when my principal told me about this entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah, I can totally understand. Thank you so much, Nikita, for that answer. It was really inspiring.
Most welcome, Saloni. And I hope you get to do what you want to do and you get to become what you all want to become.
Right. We hope the same. Thank you so much.
Most welcome.
We have two more people in queue. I think Priya, Meena, you can ask your
I
question.
think we're running out of time now, so I'll just ask one very common question that everybody has.
Okay.
So a lot of people want to know, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self? Since most of the students here are 20 or 21 years old, they're about to start their journey. So what advice do you have for them?
So advice for me would be, honestly, I have no, hindsight corrections, if I may say. Like, as I said that, college se hi, I've just done what I felt like doing, and I've come to a place that I feel like I was so right in, taking the unconventional path and not following what everyone else told me to follow. And I think this is what I would tell everyone. And manifestation is something that really helped me come and become what I am today. And if there is anything that you want to become, I think you should just believe in it like 100%. And I'll just share a very small incident to all of you here. One I've already shared is that I wrote down everything that I wanted, and I did not even know. Like, I was counting ki crore mein zeros kitne hote hain. It is back then when I wrote ki mujhe, I wanted like a 10 crore figure for me, and I didn't even knew how and when that is going to happen, but it just happened like few years back that we crossed that figure for our brand. So, you have to believe 100%. In Shark Tank also, when we went, we said when we get the deal, to the Sony team, we were saying, you need to play this song when we are getting this deal. So they came up to us, they said, Nikita, if you get this deal, we are going to play this song because this is Sony rights. I said, okay, correct your wordings. Just say when we will get the deal. Do not use the word if, because I wanted that vibration to be spread around and that belief to be there in the tank. So I think I just want everybody to believe in what you're doing with that conviction. And even if you don't believe, just keep on repeating what you want to achieve. And like, fake it till you make it. You won't even know that you are there and you actually have achieved what you once thought was not achievable. So that would be my tip to all of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was really inspirational. And thank you for sharing your insights and expertise with us today. Your valuable contribution for today's discussion will certainly stay with us for a very long time. Thank you.
All right. Absolutely a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for being such a lovely audience.
Thank you. So coming up next, we have Ms. Stuti Jalan with us, a distinguished entrepreneur and emerging female leader. Stuti has garnered numerous accolades, including the Best Young Women Entrepreneur and Woman of Excellence awards from the Women Economic Forum. And she has been recognized as one of the top 100 influential game changers. At the age of 23, Stuti established Crosses Communication, a specialized public relations and social media firm in India, and since been a pioneer in the industry. Recently, she founded WIN, Women Inspiring Network, or we can call it a WIN, an organization committed to providing women with information, networking opportunities, and creating platforms for them to thrive, lead, and innovate. We cordially invite you to enlighten us as you share your journey and insights on entrepreneurship, leadership, and women empowerment. Ma'am, please.
So, hello everybody. So we'll make the session very, very interactive, and I'm happy to share my journey, which I started almost 20 years back, and this was in Bombay. And so there's a story out there. I remember when I had gone for my master's program in Symbiosis in Pune, and my director said he didn't want to give me a seat because I came from a traditional family. And I looked him in the eye and I said, you've got to give me the seat because I'm going to have my company one day. And of course, after working for a year at the age of 23, I worked with one of the biggest firms. And I thought that, I was in the wrong profession. And someone there told me that, why don't you start off on your own? And I thought, like, I have nothing to lose and let me start off. So Crosshairs was born. And I remember almost 8-10 years back, the same director invited me, the one who had refused to give me a seat in Symbiosis. He invited me for a global business meet in New York. And of course, I narrated the story in the business meet, and he was really laughing about it. But ever since, that's been a joke. So just to come back, there are five tips you need as an entrepreneur. You have to be passionate about what you do. It's been like almost 20 years and I'm still passionate about what I do. I've worked with, we've had like 500 plus brands. We just finished with the India Today conclave, which just got over, to working with brands, with government, with different people. And so passion is what you need. You need to persevere. We also face a lot of challenges. To be an entrepreneur, you need to really persevere, not give up and keep going at it, because challenges are going to be part of your life. You need to be patient. You cannot expect results on day one. Your people are your biggest resources. And of course, if you're running a business, it's going to be all about profit. I'm just going to see, if I'm able to present a tab to present a window. Why isn't it showing? I'm not being able to share my screen. I thought I'll show you, like, to make it interactive and not so boring. You can't see, right?
No, your screen isn't visible.
Sorry?
Your screen isn't visible.
Yeah, I know. Present. Okay. So yeah, so it's been a great journey. Now I'm on the part of Dell Women Entrepreneur Network, and I'm just might not have screen recording to your computer system preferences. Okay, I don't know why isn't it allowing me, but yeah. But I'm happy to sort of talk about it, but I just thought it would be more interesting for you students to sort of see this. But yeah, so I've been part of the advisory board of the Dell Women Entrepreneur Network. And, I had my second innings because I always believed in women leadership. And 10 years back, I'd gone for a Fortune program where they connect emerging women leaders with women in C positions. And my entire perspective sort of changed. I was connected to people like Indra Nooyi. I was connected to others like Ariana Huffington. And, they sort of imbibed in you to come back and pay it forward. And during the pandemic, where everybody was really anxious, I remember one of my clients called me and he said, let's do a webinar. This is in April of 2020. And I said, okay, I'll do. He says, I have no budgets. I said, okay, I'll do it. If we can do something on women change makers. So for the last 10 years, I've been really interested in women leadership. And so the venture Women Inspiring Network was born. And it's essentially a storytelling platform which creates, shares, and inspires the women of our country. It's a movement to pay it forward. And that's completely, which is sort of relevant to you all. We've had more than 30 million reach. And that platform was completely online for the 2 years of pandemic. So we've got like 500 influential women. We've done 100 plus live sessions and talks. And so it's a very, very dynamic platform. And just a couple of months back, we did our first event, which was a breast cancer awareness event. And most recently, we did it with FICCI and G20, which was almost 10 days back. Where we again curated like a whole women change makers and a global mentoring walk, where we had a lot of youth coming in and women leaders, which was very well covered with the media. And, so it's like in my entire journey, what I can say is, we can keep talking and we can keep giving gyan, like as we say, but 10 days back when I did this event at FICCI with a young student, it was me who I thought I was learning so much more because, like from my young team, I would say I'm So it's also about reverse mentoring. It's like a mentor-mentee relationship. So it's a reverse mentoring. And, so I'll learn more about technology, social media, and other things from my young team. And the walk which we did outside Fitki, so it was connecting the women leaders with the youth, and I felt energized. I was able to work on a business plan. So coming back to an entrepreneurial journey, you always have to sort of look at opportunities. So if I have to go back to pandemic, we all fast tracked ourselves by using Zoom or technology. Like my husband runs a tech company, and I know, it's like quadruple. So you all are in the right profession of using technology, because the entire Win platform was online and based on technology, and we were able to churn out so much more content. Yes, we saw an opportunity at a time when everybody was anxious, but we were able to, I personally felt inspired. So, I remember in the first few phases, when that client of mine had approached me, we ended up doing, over a period of 2 days, which was in the first week of April. And if you all remember, that time we were still in a lockdown. We had 70 speakers, and I ensured 35 of them were women change makers. And I said, I just want, like it's powered by Win. And that's how it was. But it personally kept me motivated. And then the next we did was 100 positive videos of women, what they felt during pandemic. Then we went a step further, and we created something with IIT. So, we have the best brains in the country, but we did something called the Fashion, Tech and Sustainability. So I knew a lot of designers because of my communication experience. And, I said, why can't fashion and technology merge? And we create technopreneurs in the design space. So again, that was again a huge hit. So that we did it in association with IIT Kanpur, with Jai Hind College in Mumbai. We focused on entrepreneurship, and we were able to derive so much of reach for the platform because of technology being on the online space. Of course, we still continue doing a lot of online activities, and today we are all connected online. But our emphasis has always been more online in this than a physical thing. But yes, I mean, it's also important to meet once in a while. So we do try and catch up once every quarter. But that's all I'd like to sort of share about the Women Inspiring Network. And I wish I was able to show you all the videos. I don't know why I can't show you, but you all have any questions for me? I'll give it one more try. But in the meanwhile, anyone has a question, they can ask.
I think Parul has raised her hand. So Parul, you can go with your question.
Yeah, please ask me.
Hi Stuti, it was really good to hear your story about symbiosis and how you just turned the tables around. That was really inspiring. And since we are a community of all women developers here at GDSC, I just wanted to know, as girls who are looking to get into entrepreneurship and start their own business, would you have any advice for us specifically, since you have been at a similar spot?
See, that's why I said follow your passion. And something I've always believed in is go with your own instinct. I truly believe that your own instinct on situations like this will always work. So, it's like, I mean, how old are you all, if I may know?
We're just 20 to 21, maybe.
Okay. So I'll tell you actually, and I'm telling you this as an honest truth. I think I was, when I started at 23, I think I just followed my instinct. And I seem to overanalyze now. So even with Win, I'm always second guessing myself. So I feel you're more fearless when you're in your 20s. So you should definitely go if you really believe in something. What will happen? You'll of course fail. But when you fail or you face challenges, that's how you're going to, keep growing and keep learning. It's a part and parcel of it. So I would encourage you all to sort of follow your passion and your dreams. So I mean, I feel I've become a bit more complacent. I've become very comfortable in my skin. So I've been thinking of going for an app for Wayne. But I just, and I have technology at space. Like, my husband has a tech company, and I have every resource I can think, but I'm just over analyzing what I should put. And I think, like, when I'm talking to you all, and I'm like, oh my God, 6 months have gone by and I haven't done anything about it. So I'm just saying, as life, you become busier and busier. So your 20s are your best. Just go for it. Take the risks. That's the time you can take the maximum risks. Women's and it's a hard fact. Women's biological and a career graph also goes simultaneously. So I would recommend for the next 10 years, 15 years, give it your best shot, in your career, on your entrepreneurial journey. Because so I had my child when I was 35, and she's almost 6 now. And but I was also at a comfortable space. You see, so you worked hard for like 12 years, 13 years. I had a solid team. So when I talk about 5 P's of entrepreneurship, I had a solid team to sort of bank on, and I was of course connected back with my team. And that's again because of technology. I was connected after a couple of weeks only after delivery. But if you have a solid team, you can then prioritize. You can prioritize and maintain a healthy work-life balance. You are able to dedicate that time. So that is really important. And 20s is to experiment, to take risks, to try your hand on entrepreneurial journey, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise, because I think that's a fabulous age for you to explore and go for things.
Thank you so much, Stuti. That really made me feel good about starting my journey.
Yeah, anytime.
I think she's left the meeting.
I think she left accidentally. She'll join back.
Yeah, she'll join back.
I think it was I closed the wrong window.
It's okay. So we have another question for you. It's there in the chat box. So Samrat is asking, as an entrepreneur, what would you say is the most valuable lesson you have learned in your journey, and how have you applied it?
Was the most valuable journey? I think believing in yourself. So I feel, in my journey, I feel if you want something from within, like there's something called the manifestation. I don't know if you all believe the power of the subconscious mind. So actually, if I've sat in a meeting and if I've wanted something, if I want to really do something, like let's say if I want a particular, like if it's a presentation which we are pitching to a client in the communication business, and if we want the business really badly, it comes across. Like, they can see your passion and your energy, and you will close it. So I think, believing in yourself. So if you believe in your idea and your thought, others can be convinced, and half your battle is won. So I would say that is something which I would want you all to sort of take back and, talk about it, and
I think I definitely do believe in manifesting things. That works for me.
Right. And Parul is also written in the chat. We don't chase, we
Yeah,
attract.
correct.
Right, Parul. So,
Oh,
ma'am,
very
how do you,
sorry, I didn't get that.
we don't chase, we attract. You talked about the power
Yeah.
of manifestation.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, I have another question for you, which is how do you see the role of women in leadership changing in India? And what steps could be taken to further promote gender equality?
So, it's the network like ours, like the Women Inspiring Network. So I think, so it's a very good question. But, it's not just like India, but I overall see that we have really less women in leadership positions. And that is something which needs to change. So even for our FICCI event, which we had Payal Kanwar, who was from Indo-French. We had someone from Mom Company who just sold a company for 500 crores. We had someone who was in the femtech startup Mamelies. And, we were actually just discussing about it. So it's not just in India, but it's also in America. And, in fact, when we were doing the India Today conclave also, and I saw the audience, and I just felt like there were like maybe 15 to 20% women in the audience. And it was same for the speakers. Out of 55 speakers, I would say it was like 15 to 20%, So we have to have more women, and it's the women who can move more women forward, because and that's what WIN stands for. Actually, it's a movement to pay it forward, where we need to all push each other and sort of create a ripple effect in society, because that's the only way we will then because that's the only way we will feel that this is what we are doing and this is what needs to be done. So from that perspective, we all need to support each other. We all need to be there with each other, so that everybody is. It's like a movement we've created, so we are able to create that ripple effect in society. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. We cannot say, okay, it's the government's job, it's this one's job. We all have to ensure that we support women in the leadership role. So if you even take the example of your parliament and other places, where do we have so many women? When you look at the TV screen also of the parliament, you'll see very less women. It's not 50-50. So it has to be where we have to feel that, listen, we are the change and we need to create that change. And that is what is really important.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was really inspirational. And as you talked about how we need to follow our passion and how we need to move forward and uplift the society along with us, I think that's really something that each one of us can align with. Thank you so much for your contribution today. Do we have more questions?
I was also trying to see if I was able to show you all my screen. I don't know if it's, let me try this. Can you see it now?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
I'm just going to quickly show you about Crosshairs, and then I'll also show you a quick video on the Women Inspiring Network. Do we have time?
Yes,
we do. Yes, we do.
So, I mean, I was just trying to show you all. Actually, that one opened first, but I'm happy to also share with you all. But any other questions do you all have?
We have a question in the chat. Ma'am, what have been some of the biggest challenges you've faced as an entrepreneur, and how have those experiences shaped your perspective on life and personal growth?
See, we are still facing challenges. Challenges have to be part and parcel of, whatever we do. So so when you are an entrepreneur, we have to learn to sort of, I can't pinpoint on one thing, but we have to be ready to be able to play with the challenge, like be ready to accept the challenges, move forward. So I don't get perturbed whenever we have a challenge which is there. So you have to feel, you have to believe in yourself that this too shall pass. That's my only advice, which I'd like to give everybody.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. Do we have more questions?
Do you all have more questions?
Hi, Stuti. I think I have another question. In your video, I've seen that you worked with amazing brands, and the whole profile looks so good. As people in technology who are trying to get into entrepreneurship, there is going to be like a media and a promotional aspect to it to make communications too. So do you have any advice as to how we can, help with our communication skills or our branding and promotion skills, and how to work with that aspect, since we are predominantly tech people?
Yeah, that's a good question. But I think the techies can sort of do so. It's basically about how you all brand yourself, which will sort of take you all, it'll elevate your position. So I mean, because we are known for storytelling, for a platform like ours, so we really lay a lot of importance. And in our business, we are constantly sharing videos with people. We have a team which is constantly working on presentations also. So I guess if you're not good at it, then you should get someone who's able to do that part of your work. So see, another advice would be, as an entrepreneur, you cannot do everything yourself. So you have to then get people who will be able to do that work for you. Does it make sense? Like you're not expected to do everything, but you get the talent who supplements you on things, which is, like when you don't have a certain skill set, you have someone else who will then work with you.
That really helps. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I don't think we have more questions. Ashvi has raised her hand. Ashvi, yes. What is your question?
Hi. So I listened to your story and it was really inspiring. But one thing that really got my attention was that you shared with us that you had your daughter when you were 36 and 38, 34, and which means you said that you started you settled for a family after you had a very strong career, and I think that is something that most of the women don't do. Including if I take examples from my own family, and many of us are sometimes are forced, to start career because parents are like that. We have to choose either family or career. And but I think you defied the norms because, and that was very very brave of you, honestly speaking, because I haven't seen people or women specifically being not called out for being selfless and choosing their career first. So did you like face any issues or any challenges in that?
Of course, I heard it every time. Why aren't you having a child? And I said, would you want to have a child? And I married also pretty early. It's not like I married late. So I had my daughter after 10 years of marriage. So it's like I got married in my mid-20s. So it's not like I married late, so I had a child late. Of course, you had to field off those questions. But I was also traveling a lot internationally. I was speaking at forums. And I think those 12 years, 14 years, which I got for my career, was really, really important. I was in a more stable space. I think I'm a more mature mother. And now when I rarely see mothers in my daughter's school who are in their 20s. I see more and more people who are in their 30s, late 30s, even early 40s, because they may have second child. Of course, my advice to all you women would be that when you approach your 30s, you should just visit a gynecologist so that she does a checkup to sort of let you know how your body is, like what's the quality of eggs. And there are always options. Your science has moved so forward. You can freeze your eggs. I didn't have to do any of those. But I remember when I decided to have my daughter, my gynecologist told me that, try for 6 months. If it doesn't happen, you can come back to me. But I was pregnant within 4 months. And I had a very easy pregnancy. I didn't even have to try. It just happened. And I've seen some of my younger cousins in their 20s. Also, they could not conceive, and they had to, one of them went for IVF, one of them went for surrogacy. So I feel even though you are in your 20s, you have to take care of your mental and physical health and what you eat. So I feel if you're eating right, if you're exercising, that will really help you. Because I went to a boarding school, so we were encouraged to play sports. So when you are exercising and when you're eating right, I think you can have a child clearly in your 30s, and it's not difficult at all. Like, you don't have to put in an extra effort, and you could be unhealthy to even conceive when you're in your 20s. And just to give you an example, I have a friend, I have a client who's also now a very good friend. She had a child when she was 20, 21, 22. And then she was a single mother. And then she got married again, like maybe 6-7 years back, maybe in her late 30s or early 40s. And in the pandemic, she had a child at 47, the second child. So, women are, so it's no more, it's all social conditioning. So her older child is like 22, going to university, and she has a younger child who's 2, which she's had at 47, and 40. So I'm just saying, so I'm not saying of course it does take a toll on your body when you have a child in your 40s, but I feel that we have progressed. And whenever you decide to have a child, it should be your choice when you want to have a child. That's my daughter. She wants to see you. You want to say hello to everybody? So I feel I'm more okay. So I feel I'm more mature as a parent. I know exactly what I want my child. I am also able to contribute some of my time. So, even a school calls me for things like, okay, can I help with the communication? Can I help with X, Y, Z? And, so I make it a point that I'm in office at 9:30. I leave at 5:30. And it's okay to leave at 5:30, whereas my office gets over at 6:30. And this was a discussion we also had at FICCI at the G20, which we just did. Because 5 to 8:30 is the time I want to spend with her. Then she goes off to sleep. So if there's any other email or any presentation work which I want to do, I can always catch up on that work post 8:30. But it's also important that if I've had her, I have to be able to give her that time. So I feel we as mothers become more mature. We know exactly what we want to do, and we're also not dependent. And I think financial independence for women is very, very important. It empowers us. It empowers us to that extent that you can really have a great career. You can go the entrepreneurship way. You can make some of the decisions, which is important. And I think that's really, really important.
Thank you for your answer. I think I'm very proud of the fact that you make it your own choice, and thanks for sharing it with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, we can see how women are fighting all odds and doing a great job at everything and empowering the people around them. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really amazing interacting with you today.
Thank you. And the next time when we do a mentoring walk, I want all your students to come for it.
Sure thing. Definitely.
Okay.
So, yes. So let's move on to our next speaker. We have.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye. So next we have Sandesha Jaitapkar with us. Sandesha is the Chief Operating Officer of the Artha Group. She has over 14 years of experience in operational strategy, management consulting, and human resources, and her contributions have played a significant role in the success of the Artha Group. From setting up the entire Artha team to leading operations for the group, Sandesha's impressive career also includes working for Parthenon EY and ITC Limited. TradeFork has recognized her expertise by naming her one of the 10 best CEOs in India in 2022. Ma'am, request you to take over from here, as we'd love for you to introduce yourself and give our audience a brief overview of your background and expertise.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt, but you're on mute.
I'm sorry, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Firstly, I want to thank you guys for this amazing opportunity, and it's an honor to be a part of such an impressive panel. I did go through everyone's profile, and right now when Parul was just talking about being a working mother, I feel like I'm not even halfway there, because I am not married, not a mother, and still sort of being recognized for everything I do. So I kind of feel a little young here, I would say, but at the same time, I think the challenges don't really change, to be honest. So when I was told that there is a journey that I have to talk about what are the obstacles that I've gone through, I generally don't qualify this as journey, because journey is something that you that talks about when things are going to come to an end, right? You want to talk about your experiences more than a journey, because someone who's probably retiring can talk about their journey. We're not even halfway there. So I would call it more like a place for me to share my experiences and how my career trajectory has been. Obviously, it starts with being at the hotels. I was a hardcore service industry expert back then. I started with being a guest relations manager for ITC. So something that's really been common in the entire career for me has been the fact that I have been a people's person, and something that really helps me is that I understand what sort of ticks them off, what is it that they want. And that has always kept me in the loop when it comes to about human resource management, people management, and that obviously starts from service industry, because when you start your career from the service industry, what really helps you is that it keeps you grounded, which means you literally can go through anything and see anything and not let that affect you in any way possible, right? Because as a service industry person, you're supposed to always be smiling with whatever that is going on with you. And I think that was in a way the best way to start off my career. And obviously from there I moved to Parthenon EY, joined them as their pre-opening team. So the founder of the company, who's a managing partner, was just setting up a division in India, and he did approach me for helping him set it up. So from everything to about to choosing the carpet color, to going to NCR and SMUs and hiring people and setting up an entire division of about 45-50 team members there, right? And until about that time, I had no hiring experience. I didn't know what to ask. I didn't know what is it that qualifies for you to be into consulting. But something that really helps me is obviously being hungry about wanting to grow, about wanting to know new things, and internet has answers to everything. So you don't have to. So I'm not an MBA, I'm not an IIT or an ISB graduate, and I'm still sitting where I'm sitting. Just with my hunger to wanting to learn and wanting to explore new things, and somehow I've been lucky enough also to work with people who are highly performing, people who are extremely demanding. If you speak about my current founder, who's Mr. Anirudh Damani. So when I joined him as well, I'll talk about that journey a little later. Before that, I've worked with Mr. Karan Khemka, who was the managing partner of Parthenon EY. These are people that there's a common quality about them is that they do not want to hear the word no, or how do I do this, right? The minute they throw something at you, your next answer has to be how soon do you want it? And that is the quality that has always been common about, I would say, all my managers and people that I've worked closely with. And in a way, I think that helps me to bring out the best in me. Also, the fact that what happens is when you work with people who are constantly evolving, is that you either evolve with them or you're left behind, right? Or you quit. If you're left behind, then you quit because there is absolutely nothing you can do. They've reached sort of a pace and you're just right there behind somewhere trying to figure out what's going on. So you evolve at that pace, or you don't sort of you don't continue the journey, either of those things. But there is no in between there with people who evolve a lot, right? And both of these people that I've worked with evolve, every single day. And hence, so that obviously setting up the entire division in Mumbai, helping him set up the entire team. So that was about 2.5, 3 years, and I realized that my journey that time sort of had reached a place where there wasn't much that I was able to contribute, except for the fact that just making sure that all the standard operating procedures that are built will continue to run, right? And it was sort of in a way a self-do model by that time. And that is the time when I got approached by Artha to take up a role of the founder's office. And when I say founder's office, I've never really done a job of that sort before. And I was like, what does this role sounds like really fancy and something that people would do in the US, but in India, who does sort of a founder's office role? And I did give it a shot. I'm like, let me just meet the founder and understand what is it that he wants to do. And, and I remember during my interview, he did ask me, how well organized are you with your wardrobe? And that question ticked me. And I'm like, why would you want to know how well organized am I with my wardrobe, right? And he was like, because that tells me a lot about how well organized you are. And if you're not organized, then you don't get to work with me. Right. And I was like, this role sounds like a challenge, right? And then he explained to me this whole setup as to right now about 7 to 10 team members. And this is what I'm looking to do. It's a venture capital fund. We invest in startups, early age, right? And the model was so impressive. So, so that time we'd bought a couple of assets, which we still own. So these windmills generate some amount of money, obviously, when they generate energy, right? And then whatever money that comes out of that is invested in startups. So the pipeline looked so impressive. I'm like, this is a very unique way of making money, and in a way we contribute to the environment as well. And that was super exciting. And at the age of 24, I mean, everything sounds so exciting. I'm like, oh wow, what are they doing? And let me just see what this is. So that is the time when I joined Artha, and in fact, last month we celebrated my 9 years anniversary at Artha, and that's been an extensive, and look at the timing, it's it's just, and I just got this opportunity this month. I really wanted to mention that I'm going to complete a decade next year, and it has been a journey of only growth. So I started from founder's office to to literally so the founder's office role typically was in a way to shadow the founder all the time. So when you shadow that, that means you manage his communications, you manage literally every email that comes to him, every meeting of his, take minutes. So sort of, I would say a step up from an executive assistant role, but that would typically include a lot of strategic decisions that you get to take, right? And when you're shadowing sort of someone who's that high functional, the only thing that happens is that you grow. So he would keep, and I was like, I don't understand venture capital. I don't understand energy. And I don't know why have I even signed up for that role. So I would not deny that as someone who has no experience and something that's been very common in my career is that I've always chosen an industry that I have no experience in. I don't know why would I keep doing that to myself, but I think in a way that kept me going, because, if you don't have enough challenges, then you're sort of, I would say that you're dead, right? What's the point? You're just living. And then if you're walking alone and if no one is following you, then you're just walking. You're not a leader, right? So to get to that state, you really have to go down there in the mud and understand what the details of those things are and how it feels like to be there and how to come out of that with the same amount of dignity, right? So the role obviously started with a lot of challenges. I did not. I think by my 15th day, I wanted to quit. And I went back to him and I'm like, listen, I think I kind of made a mistake and this is not what I signed up for. And I don't think I understand any bit of what you guys do. And, so he literally, I'm so, even today when we talk about this, I'm so thankful to the fact that he told me, let's spend 3 months in this role. And if you feel the same way, I would be the one who would help you write your resignation letter. But let's give it a try. Give it 3 months and then let's see if things go in the right direction. And I'm like, any which ways, the next job I'm going to take is going to take a little longer to come my way, right? And I'm 24. I mean, 3 months doesn't seem like a big loss. Let's try it out. And somehow by my second month, I was like, oh, wow, this doesn't seem like something that I want to quit, because every single day I'm sitting with him. At that time, we did not obviously have a huge team to manage the whole venture capital arm. Hence, I'm someone who's also making notes of the investments we're making, also making notes of the investments that are already made, meeting with the founders and every conversation. So every time there's minutes, initially I have to like sit down and record it and then go back and write them, right? Because I'm like, let me just keep replaying this language I don't understand. Then I started typing my minutes in the meeting. So that journey with those very little things of understanding how the industry works has been so inspiring that when you it's very easy for someone who's been in the finance industry to come in and perform, right? But for someone who has not been in the industry at all, who has absolutely zero educational background when it comes to being either a CA or a CFA, to understand numbers, to understand how I did not know what the word exit meant back then. So I'm like, what do you mean by exit, right? So every little bit thing. So you spend 10 hours of a day in the job and then another 3-4 hours to Google and find out what's going on. So I used to literally be in the office for about 15-16 hours a day, every single day for about 5 to 6 years till the time I got hands-on on the job, right? So at the age of 25, I realized that I have to make subconscious choices, which means I can't hang out with 100 friends that I have. I can't have everything in my life, right? I mean, there is some part of family that I have to let go. There's some part of my friends that I have to let go. I have to choose what you call it as an inner circle. I have to have those only 5 important members that I'm supposed to be answerable to. And that is that. And if I want to do something really big in life, I can't have this massive group of everyone to come along. And there is obviously, when you choose a path that is a little difficult and that takes you the longer way, is that you have to let go of some things, right? So that is the choice I made at the age of 25. So I let go a lot of things I thought at that time was a big sacrifice, but today when I look back, I feel like it was all for good, right? So I chose those very important aspects of things, and to be in a position that is a leadership position, or sort of either being a founder or a co-founder, someone who's running a company, I think you have to have a very, very strong support at the back end. You can call it a family, you can call it your friends, but you have to have those 5 people you can always go back to. So this is something that is something that I keep telling all my team members as well as they grow in the firm, is that you have to have those 5 core members in your life that act as a strong support system for you, and they will be there for you no matter what. It's a personal and a professional advice I keep giving everybody, that without that support, it's impossible. You can go through your highs and lows, and there would be days where you would want to just quit and not show up. There would be days where you want to switch off your phone and you'll be like, no, I can't do this anymore, right? And that is the time you have those people standing next to you like a rock and just being there for you no matter what. So I think in my situation, I think those 5 people I chose was very, very wisely done, and they're still with me till today, being proud about what I do, right? So that journey obviously has been an extension to what the role was. So I think within a year, my founder told me that if within 3 years, Sandesha, if you're not stepping out of this role and taking up something new in this company, then that means you haven't done enough. So for a position like mine that requires a lot of training and shadowing, he was ready to take me out of that role, and he was like, listen, you have to do something else and let's get someone else in this role, right? And that was the time when we launched our first fund, and that was the time when we were just fundraising. And I realized that operationally we had to be so strong when we're sitting with SEBI money, we're sitting with SEBI permissions, we're sitting with SIDBI money. We had to be so strong operationally. We had to have a very, very structured operating procedures for things. And that is the time when we started looking for someone else who can take up my role, and then I could be promoted into the operating officer for the whole of the group. So now when you're in a group of companies, kind of a setup, what happens is everything is so diverse. You have an energy arm, and then you have a venture capital arm, and then you have a family office and a fund running parallelly. And then you sort of become the key force to keep it all together in sync with making sure that the culture is not a mess, where people are all comfortable. You're constantly in touch with people. You're constantly talking to them. You're making sure that no thoughts are disrupted. They're all feeling motivated at the same time. So the culture, there was one point when we realized that the culture was becoming a bit of a mess. We had to let go some people in a batch of about 5-7 together, right? So we had to take those harsh decisions, but being watchful of what was going on constantly was one of the key areas that did help me grow in the role, right? So I took up obviously the operating officer role. At the initial bit, I did not know what a COO means, to be honest. The only thing that I knew was I read a lot about what they do, and okay, this is some fancy title, but I don't know what they do. So I did go back and check. So I think the first year, I did not, I would say, complete any KRA of a chief operating officer at Artha. And I do not have any shame in telling you that, because I did not understand what the role means. Every time there was something coming my way, I was just completing it. Okay, ho gaya. Let's just move on from here. Right. And then when I finished my 1-year review with my founder, and then when he told me, till that time I was like, oh, I've done so much. And then when he told me that, listen, you haven't done a bit of what a chief operating officer does. All this while you've just been joining threads, training people who can take up your roles and just save some damage control maybe. But you aren't evolving in this role because you haven't done one bit of what the role demands. And that's when I had sort of an eye-opening moment where I went back to the drawing board, put together a path of what I want to do, and then obviously started actively building procedures. So now today at Artha, everything has a SOP, right? You can't move a tissue paper box from one place to another without going through that SOP. That's how operationally strong we are today, because we have built an SOP for everything. When you're working in a firm that is so highly functional when it comes to different divisions. But right now we have 2 funds. We're in the process of building another 2, and with a very lean team size. With a very, very lean team size. Currently, we're working on the entire group of company setup that includes your venture capital arms, which has 2 funds. You have an energy arm there, right? And then you also have another family office fund with a capacity of 80 people in total. So because so the procedures are so strong that we do not understand hiring from making just bulk hiring and just making everybody do whatever they like, right? We're very structured things. Okay, if this is the person joining, then what is it that we're expecting from them? The training programs are so well done. So every time there's a candidate joining us, we tell them that, listen, you have to untrain what you learned back then, because here this is a training school. We operate like a training school, we operate like a training model, and you come here, you train yourself. We literally are paying you for training you, to be honest. And because Artha has such a unique way of doing things, whether the way we negotiate our term sheet to the way we go out there and hire, right? And it's such a unique way of doing things that people it takes time for them to come in and mold into the setup that is ours, right? But the minute you're in, and the amount of responsibility that comes your way, the amount of decision making that comes your way, it is just never ending, right? And the amount of access you have, because it's a lean team size. So every analyst who typically have about 5 to 6 portfolio companies of their own, where they can talk to the founders on daily basis. I mean, where do you get that kind of an exposure? Where you're talking to the founder who's built a multi-million-dollar business every single day, right? And that's the amount of learning that there is immense. So setting up a division like that, so strategically, obviously making sure that so we had a very unique goal system where we put together the firm goals, then divide them into department goals, and then eventually the department goals get broken down into individual goals, right? And then we would keep telling each individual as to how they are contributing eventually to the firm goal, right? And that goal system, that goal mechanism helped us so well that everybody knew that in some way or the other they're contributing to the bigger picture, right? That is something that me and my founder built together to make sure that everybody feels like they're contributing, and they are actually contributing, right? And that feeling when every single time when you contribute to the bigger goal as someone who's maybe 1 year in the system does feel like something. It gives you that kick, it gives you that high, you want to do more, right? And then that feeling really doesn't end. So that has obviously been the place. But again, when I'm talking about all of these things, we've had various challenges while we were doing those things, right? Because you have people who also come from a lot of years of experience. So they would have their own questions, they would have their own debates about why things should not be a certain way. So explaining it to them without really hurting their sentiments, and making sure that they are in sync with what we're doing. And at Artha, there is no me and you, there is us all the time. So when we're representing ourselves out, it's always us. Inside a room, we would have conflicts, we'd have our own different viewpoints. Then we come to sort of common grounds, and then we build from there. But bringing them all to common grounds has always been, I think, the primary function of my role as someone who understands people, as someone who's been in the firm for the longest, and as someone who understands what the founder wants in a way, right? Because my founder is someone who evolves every single minute, right? You can, I don't know if you're aware, but you can go out there and read up a little bit about him. He's someone who, if you stop evolving, then you can't work with him. He's someone who's very, very high functional, very, very high demanding, but that is something that brings out the best in you. So at first you would feel like, okay, are you in some sort of a boarding school, or is this some sort of a military training school? Like, what is going on with me here? But it's only the amount of the times that you get beaten is the diamond comes out, right? It's not something that comes to you easy. So I would say that the obstacles have, for me personally, have always been the industry change, because I never really understood any of these industries that I've worked for, and I do not have the kind of educational background that it takes. But I think with my sort of presence, and then some of the other hiring that we did at Artha, we realized that the universities and the education obviously is a part of your career journey, right? But it is not something that we really are looking at when we hire people. For us, what matters is what you bring to the table, your experience, your willingness to learn. If you're hungry to be coached and for information, then that is something that the attitude has to be in the right place. So we always, something that my founder always keeps telling people is that you are either someone who is highly paid and is working the most, or you're the lowest paid, someone who's not doing anything at all. So if you're the lowest paid, you know what you're doing. So then don't come complaining to me when I'm handing out bonus checks, because then you are not up for the challenge that I keep throwing at people, right? So that is sort of the culture in here all the time, right? So matching up with those demands as someone who's been an outsider in the industry has been difficult. I've had leaders in the past telling me that, listen, what do you understand about this industry, right? And why do you have a say here? So to sort of keep up with that spirit, to take that the way it comes, and going back to your drawing board, educating yourself and taking that as some sort of a positive way to grow, right? I mean, this is not criticism. Every time you get feedback, if you think that it is criticism, it's a problem. You have to take feedback with open arms, and you have to always be acceptable towards it, because that is in a way in addition to what you can do and how much can you learn. So for me, I would say I was always being judged for someone who's not been in the industry yet, sitting in the position that I am. I would not say that doesn't happen today. In fact, I do have people asking me that, how were you able to manage this? You do not have any experience in the industry. You do not understand financial. You would not understand financial models back then, because to understand financial models, you either have to build them on your own, or you have to be either a CFA charter to be able to understand them, right? But going through each and everything through internet, taking those crash courses that were available, and then obviously shadowing the founder in and out, right? I would literally go back to his sent mailbox and check how he writes, what is it that he writes, how does he respond to people. I used to spend a lot of my times after office hours to be able to go through that, because if I understand that there is a drawback here, which is going to be my experience, then I'm going to overcome that. This can't act like my drawback, because my attitude is in the right place. I'm someone who always want to learn something new, even today in my role, right? I mean, if the culture is such that I would always encourage my team members to give me feedback. Okay, this is not how you should have written this, or this is not you should have said this, or this is not how this conversation should have been placed. And I'm always so open to listening to that kind of feedback, because I love to learn. And I think that is something that remains as a common quality through my career trajectory, is that I've always been so hungry about wanting to know new things, wanting to learn new things. The amount of technology we are adapting right now, you name the tech and we're using that at Artha. Right now, ChatGPT, I have a feeling that my founder is going to replace like at least 10 team members with ChatGPT at this point. And I'm so concerned. I keep telling him, listen, we can't do this. You have to relax a little bit. But, the amount of ChatGPT we are using currently, the fundraising team is literally 2 members. One is my founder and one is another person who fundraises. And we've closed a 220 crore fund with that. And now we're looking at closing another 450 with just those 2. Right. So because the amount of tech that we use, everything is so automated. We use literally, there is a password management tool that we have, which is used to share passwords with people where you can't see the passwords. And every time there's a team member who joins, we have sort of a checklist with HR that they have to follow, that the team member has to be onboarded on all these 1,000 apps we use here. So we are also, because also we fund a lot of technically heavy businesses, and to name a few, we've also obviously funded a lot of fintech. Like Len Club is one of our success stories, right? And so the belief in tech and the usage of tech is so much at Artha is that we constantly feel like there is things are going to be automated really quickly, right? We do automate a lot of procedures. Lately, we onboarded an app for our project management needs, and then we realized we've gotten back to those guys and we've told them that, can you customize something for us for our deal sourcing needs? And they were like, this is mind blowing. Like we took them to the entire process of how we want the platform to be built. And this is the first ever time they've built something like that, to an extent that I got invited to one of their keynote sessions as to how we did it. Right. The app is called Asana. If you guys want to make a note of that. So they literally helped us build the whole, deal flow platform, where if a founder is pitching to us with his idea, how the deal sort of reaches from the pitch idea to him filling up the questionnaire, to getting auto rejected on some of the criteria already, to obviously sending the pitch deck with a lot of notes to the associate working on that deal, right? And all of this is something that the app never really did before, because they were a plain, simple project management tool. We took just the enterprise version for that, and they are literally managing our entire deal flow at this point. We receive 100 to 150 pitches every single day on the same platform, and it's all automated. We did face some glitches before, but I think so some of these people also that we work with are so excited to work with us because of the kind of stuff they end up doing with us, right? And they're like, listen, it feels like we are growing with you. And then they went back to many people and they've started pitching now this entire platform they built with us. So we keep giving them bugs, we keep giving them constant feedback. So technically we are so heavy that at all points we want to use any tech that is available to explore, right? We literally have an hour blocked on my and my founder's calendar to go through every new tech that is introduced this week. So every weekend we sit for an hour and we get the team to put together all the tech that is there, and we spend hours and hours on going through all the tech that is available out there. People are building something new, and we don't want to be left out. We want to use what's the most new thing available. So I think that's literally how we operate. And so today, that is obviously a summarization of my journey without taking further more time. But I think how I look at it today is that the overall message that I want to give to the audience is that let's not classify these challenges as founders or as entrepreneurs as men or women, right? We all face them. Trust me, I've worked so closely with my founder, to an extent that we've literally slept on our respective chairs in the office all nights trying to work and get something done, right? It's reached that we've slept on the couch, slept on the chair, and we literally took like 2 hours of naps and gotten back to work. So the journey of being an entrepreneur is a tedious journey. It's not easy, I would say. Whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't really make a difference. Trust me, it is as difficult as it can get, and in India all the more. Things can really take its own course with the kind of compliance we have in here. But just being truthful to yourself is something that is really important. With whatever you do, there's something that I really like and I follow, is that if you're able to sleep with yourself, end of the day, you're doing what you're doing is supposed to be done right. You're doing right. And I think that is something that has been a constant for me, at least when it comes to my career at Artha and in other places, that all the choices that I've made are so calculative, and I own up to those choices that I've made, is that I never really feel the need of wanting to go back and reevaluate them. And as far as being in that position, I think you know what you're doing. And as far as you know what you're doing, I don't think you should care about what anybody else thinks what you're doing. So, that's literally the message that I would want to end this conversation with. Unless I've not covered anything, I prefer the Q&A sessions better, because these sort of becomes very, very, it's an ongoing long session. But I hope I've covered everything as a part of my journey. And if any questions, I'm happy to address them.
First of all, congratulations, ma'am, for completing 9 years at Artha Group. I am
Thank you.
sure you've done a wonderful job, and your journey is an inspiration to us. This constant desire to learn and overcome all the obstacles that we face along the way, face all the challenges. It's really amazing to know.
Thank you.
I think we have a few questions for you here. I think Saloni has raised a hand. Saloni, you can go with your question.
Hi, Saloni.
Hello, ma'am. Your journey was so inspiring, and the amazing work culture that Artha has, it's really insightful and really inclusive. So my question from you was that how did you transition from working in management consulting and human resources to becoming the CEO of Artha Group?
So yeah, that's an interesting question. So like I said, I started with so from management consulting, obviously took venture capital as an industry when we talk about that. So like I said, the initial 1 or 2 years was a lot of figuring out of what each term means. I literally went back to all the past investments that were done. I used to go through those documents, read all the term sheets possible. Then if I'm stuck with anything, go on to Google, check what the meaning of each of those terms were. So that was obviously the initial phase of 1 year was about understanding how the industry operates. Because at the time when I joined Artha, no one had the time to sit down and train. Sit me down and okay, let me train you as to how these things work, right? You have to just figure things out on your own. And so a lot of those answers were there on the Google, I would say. I took a lot of courses on the web about how do you become an investment expert, sort of small crash courses about financial modeling as an entrance bit. So I started with those things, and eventually I think what matters is your interest in the subject, right? And this subject got so interesting to me that you enter any company at the ideation stage. Someone just comes to you with an idea, and you fund that idea, and you see them grow, right? And in a way, because we enter very early in the investment game, which means when you're at the ideation stage, we fund your company. That means you get involved in the day-to-day process of the business. You literally talk to the founder every single day, and you hear him how he's growing, how he or she is growing, and you keep talking about their progress in the company. You keep giving them your inputs, and then my founder used to constantly be on these calls where he used to keep giving him inputs about okay, this is what you should change this in the business model, change this in the ideation stage. And and those things used to be so inspiring because you would see how those are also working out in the favor of their business. So the topic got me really interesting. In fact, I would say I enjoy doing venture capital better than management consulting in a way, because you know that you are contributing to the bigger path, right? You're contributing to these founders who are solving some real problems, and in a way that is sort of contributing to the overall bigger picture. So that got me really excited, about the industry. And then anything and everything that would come my way, I would just take that as a learning. I would make a lot of notes, just go back, read a lot, watch a lot of videos. I read. I'm an avid reader. I read a lot of books. So anything that was pertaining to my subject is something that I would keep reading, and keep surfing things, research a lot. At some point, I reached a stage where I used to reply to the emails that my founders got in his inbox, right? So to be able to reply to those emails, I have to know what the subject is. And so I just, but because the subject got interesting to me, is what I took more effort to understand what the subject was. So the transition to answer to your question, the transition from management consulting to venture capital came from a place of interest. Because if you don't like doing something, if you're not interested and excited about doing it, you will take no effort to learn about it. So it's very important that whatever we choose, within 3 to 4 months of your tenure at any organization, you make that call very quickly as to how enthusiastic are you about what the vision of the company is versus what your role is. For example, if you're a content writer, you feel that what do I have to do with the vision of the company? But yes, you have a lot to contribute to the vision of the company because you're someone who's putting out content on their behalf. And hence, it's very important that you get, the idea gives you a kick more than anything else. And if it gives you a kick, then the transition is honestly, then you can do anything and everything that exists on this earth to make it happen. And I think that was really the key for me, if that answers the question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, there is one last question that I think most of the students want to know about. that what is one advice that you would give to your 20-year-old self? All students here, they're in their 20s, they're in 20 or 21. So what advice do you have for them as someone who is just beginning their journey?
So like I just mentioned to Saloni right now, is that you obviously have to, it might sound like a little cliche, but I think you have to make your, just make the choice very, very calculatively. Whatever choice that you make for your career journey, within 2 to 3 months, if you do not understand what you're doing, then just step out. Just step out and do something that you understand better, because to be able to continue something for the longer time and to be able to excel in that area, it is very, very important that you enjoy doing what you do and that you are able to sleep well every night with what you do, right? And as a 20-year-old, it is very, very important that you make those choices wisely. You understand what are the 5 priorities for you as of today and write down your goal very, very clearly as to what you want to do by the end of 5 years and break them down into smaller goals as to how each year should progress to be able to reach to where you are. I would not say I ever thought that I wanted to be a chief operating officer 5 years down the line, but I was very clear that I want to be a decision maker for this company. I want to be someone who's making decisions after all, right? And I am in that position today. So you have to be very clear about what you want to do eventually, and then break those things down into minor goals, into smaller goals, and then sort of just start doing a reverse calculation. So for example, if 25th of this month, you know that you are supposed to be attending a friend's something, right? So then what the next steps are, then you then start reverse calculating as to, okay, I have to go to the salon, I have to go get dressed up, whatever else, those 5 things that you need. And it's literally works, the same math works everywhere. Trust me, it's the reverse planning. That you know what you want to do 5 years down the line, 1 year down the line. It could be any tenure, like, 6 months down the line, I want to be able to fund a trip for my parents, for example. So what is it that I need to do that? So same works for the career as well, right? If you are very sure about what you want to do, so make those just, and the key to understand that is that you need to know what is it that you do not want, because that tells you what is it that it's very easy to find out what you want. But I think most times what people I've seen, most candidates, in the last 10, 12 years of my journey, while I recruit, I've seen that people make those mistakes that they're very clear about what they want. But are you sure about what you don't want? Right? Because that once that comes in your way, you're going to be so demotivated about what you want to do eventually. So it's very important.
I think
Hello?
we lost you there for a minute. Yeah.
Hi, can you? I think I don't know if I lost the network or what, but I just kind of got kicked out of the call for a bit. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Thank you
Yes.
so much for sharing. I think reverse planning does work out, and that is like a very good trick for anything that we're planning to do, to like plan things out, how we want to do the 5 steps. Thank you so much for sharing.
Pleasure. Thank you so much, guys, for having me on this session. It was amazing. If I was able to contribute to any of your career journeys, I mean, I would just consider that as a percentage of improvement to my overall journey, right? I mean, thank you so much for having me on this.
I think it was really amazing. It was great interacting with you today, ma'am. Thank you for sharing your valuable time, and your insights and expertise will stay with us for a very long time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Now, as we approach to the end of this session, our next speaker is Nidhi Banthia Mehta. Nidhi is an accomplished marketing and growth strategy consultant for startups led by women. She's also a TEDx speaker on entrepreneurship and a mentor of UN Women's We Empower Asia program, which makes her a wealth of knowledge and experience. Moreover, Nidhi's inspirational vision of training and developing 10,000 homemakers as entrepreneurs by 2030 through her bootcamp Ideation to Manifestation is truly remarkable. So don't miss out on this enlightening session, as there is a lot to learn. We invite you, ma'am, to take over from here, as we'd love to hear about your background and experiences.
Thank you, Yashvi. Thank you so much for having me for this session. I'd love to share my journey with all of you because I think